Hello students, welcome to AKS IAS Academy. Yeah, Ravi, also we would like to welcome you to AKS IAS Academy live webinar session. We are extremely delighted and happy that you are here with us to share your success strategy with fellow aspirants who aspire to be the future civil servants, and they would be eager to know what is the right strategy that you adopted, and you had succeeded in the UPSC examination twice. So what could be those critical ingredients which helped you get recurrent success in the examination and maintain consistency in your preparation? And more importantly, we from AKS IAS Academy team, the faculty members, the team, the staff members would like to congratulate you from the bottom of our hearts for making it to the All India Services below 100 rank, which is a distant dream for many students. So we would like to start the session by requesting you to answer this question about your basic background, educational background, as well as family background.
I belong to Rajasthan, Alwar district, Rajasthan, and I've done BTech in civil engineering from IT Roorkee. Then this was my second attempt, and this was my second attempt, and my graduation year is 2019. So I think, yeah, those are the ones.
That's great to hear, Ravi. So students, we must note that Ravi has cracked UPSC in the very first attempt. Yeah. So Ravi, you had cracked UPSC in your very first attempt. So could you tell us what does it take to crack UPSC in the first attempt? So what was your strategy per se?
Sir, in the first attempt, the basic strategy, I focused on too much on the answer writing and tried to cover the syllabus as much as I could. Because in my first attempt, I gave my first attempt right after my college, and my college ended in around May, and in June I have the prelims to give. Then I cleared the prelims, and for the mains I had two or three more months with me. So in 3 months, what max I could do was to cover as much as I can, at least once or twice, and practice them by writing the answers. So that is what helped me a lot, because I was able to complete the paper, and in my opinion, completing the paper was like big enough, was something that I needed that was required to actually clear this examination. So I completed the paper, and I went through almost everything, every aspect of the paper at least once. So be it essay, ethics, my optional geography, GS, small areas. I tried to visit them once and applied them before in the mock test before going to the final paper.
That's great to know. So Ravi, like in the first attempt, you had made it to the railway services, right? Indian Railway Services.
Yes, sir.
So now, like in your second attempt, what were the improvements that you focused upon? What helped you maximize your scores compared to the first attempt?
This time, there were 2-3 things that I did distinctively. One thing I should be clear is, over here is, my knowledge base was not increased at all. Whatever I knew last year, the same thing I did this time also. So the knowledge base was same. Only part that changed was the application part, and that too of specific papers. For example, I paid a little bit of attention on essay, because I thought in essay you can really get like 10-20 marks increase of 10-20 marks, which is very good. Then I paid attention to my optional. Last time optional was very bad, because I could not I could cover the optional, but I could not practice it enough, like the way how will I be writing it. But this time I paid special attention to my optional. And one more thing that I would say is, GS4 is also one of those areas where you can like create a significant difference between you and the other candidates. So these three were the subjects that I really focused on. Other than this, I made sure that my GS1, 2, and 3 do not go that do not suffer. So I paid a decent amount of attention to them also.
Rightly said, rightly said. So can you tell us what is the basic strategy? Okay, as a beginner, what are the fundamental requirements for a UPSC aspirant to start preparing for UPSC?
Sir, I would say there are a few things that should be there that makes the journey easier. First, you need to have some certain amount of motivation and the reason behind doing it. So if you have a big amount motivation behind what you are doing, then you will really go for a longer distance, because this is a very long journey. It takes 1 year in the examination itself, 1 year of preparation, at minimum 1 year preparation before it. So at least have a certain reason behind why you are doing it. Second thing is, be ready for the hard work, because this is a very uncertain exam. Lakhs of aspirants give it. The seats are getting less and less. So be ready for the uncertainties. Accept the hard working part of it. And finally, please have a strategy behind whatever you do, because initially, if you start studying from here and there and not having a special strategic plan, you won't be you will be ending up losing a lot of time. So if you have a basic strategy that in this much amount of time I will be reading the basic books, in this amount of time I'll be reading the reference book, then my practice part will be there. So if you have a decent or a vague amount of plan also, that will be a lot helpful. Other than that, yes, it requires a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication, a lot of patience. So patience is really required over there.
True that. So Ravi, you have done your graduation from IIT. So when did you make
Yes,
this
sir.
decision to get into civil services? You know, a lot of people who have, got into IIT, they usually get very hefty packages when it comes to job placements or
Yes, sir.
foreign, opportunities in foreign countries. So why did you make this decision of getting into a government job per se? And then when did you make this decision? What made you? What is the precipitating factor?
I started taking civil services seriously from third year, second semester, but my real preparation began in 4-1, the fourth year, first semester. So in my last year, I prepared extensively for UPSC, and the reason why I chose it over the other options, over the other professional career options that I had, was because, of course, it has big name, it has everything, everything like that, but other than all of those things, the amount of diversity that you get in this job is way too good. Any person, see, if the jobs that are available with us, with any engineer graduates, there are many, but there is a factor of monotonicity over there. There's a factor of not being able to impact those many lives of people at the at a moment over there. So these were some of the factors that actually helped motivated me. And there were and luckily I had a few friends who were aware about what is the all examination is about. So I was not scared to take up this challenge of or take up this as a career option. So I think those were the things that I actually kept in my mind before taking it, and it really paid it off. And to anyone who want to try it, it is one of the best thing that you can try, staying in this country at the moment.
Very well said, Ravi. So you truly are an inspiration to many young aspirants and students across different states of India. You know, consistently you could make it to the UPSC finalist, and also you had adopted the right strategy and you could make it. So, what is your tip for students? Like, is it possible for an aspirant to prepare for UPSC during their graduation years?
I can say it is a very valid thing that anyone can do. I myself has done it in the last year only. All my knowledge base that I have right now, most of it belongs to the fourth year of the last fourth year of my college. So whatever I wanted to study, I studied. I do understand there are difficulties regarding attending the classes and doing all those things, but you have if you have right amount of strategy and motivation behind it, you can totally do it in your degree. And yes, but if you come to realize that this is what you have to do soon enough, then you will start preparing about it. And yeah, you really can do about it. You really can start preparing for it in your college days only. My personal advice is, do not try it in first for 1-2 years, because that is the time when you can enjoy your college life. But yeah, slowly you have to think about the career also, and you can totally do it. It just requires a little bit of adjustment in your timetable. But if you find out that if you find out your schedule, you can really find it out that you have enough amount of time that you can easily go 3 to 4 hours every day, and which is pretty much good enough to actually get versed through it in the initial phases of this examination.
Rightly said. Ravi, one of the student named Ravi Teja, he is asking a question. Sir, I am in my graduation. Sorry, I have completed my intermediate. If I want to prepare for UPSC, which graduation stream do you suggest me to take?
Okay. See, it depends on the person. I'll tell you, there are few of the optional subjects that are available in UPSC, which you can find them in the engineering colleges also. For example, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering. So if you're thinking to reduce your work and to cover your optional subject in your college itself, these are the streams that you can really go for. Other than this, what I would say is, see, right as a college time, you can choose whichever stream you want to choose, whichever stream you love to explore, because maybe you would find it more attractive or more suiting to your personality. So try to choose as whatever branch you want to choose. Then there are other options available in the UPSC. For example, I myself chose geography. I am a civil engineering background. So you can totally choose another subject in optional and do it very good, perfect it in 4 5 months or whatever it say, and crack this examination. So do not base your choosing uh, the engineering stream on the basis of clearing UPSC. But yes, if you are determined enough, and if you think this is what only you have to do, then there are many options available like civil engineering, mechanical and electrical engineering, and few more chemical. I think chemical engineering also is there. Those you can directly choose them.
Okay, Ravi. Is it necessary that they have to choose only technical subjects, or they can see students coming from engineering background? Would they be comfortable with the art subjects?
See, I would say it is true both the way. Those who are doing engineering, they develop engineering, or any other student who is doing studies, they develop certain level of rational thinking, certain level of analyzing uh, small facets of anything. So if you're doing engineering, let's say, then you will have all those qualities that you can really apply in the art subject also, like geography, anthropology, not anthropology, yes, sociology, philosophy. So you can apply all your tactics over there. But yes, technical, if you have a technical background, it becomes a little easier to because you are ingraining that mindset for 4 years. So just you just have to cover those things in a short amount of time and use it in your optional. So overall, I can say it, if you're whether you are a technical background or not, you can definitely take art subject, and you just need to have certain level of analytical development in the analytical development, which you will have in doing any course, whether it is MBBS or engineering or anything. So you can totally do that.
Okay, Ravi. One student named Ankita wants to congratulate you, and her question is, sir, why did you choose geography as an optional, and what is the reason behind you choosing this optional?
Okay, geography as an optional. Geography was an easy subject for me. Was a subject that I used to love in my school days, but I never thought of using it in UPSC as optional. What prompted me to do geography was it was a lot safer choice for me to do, because during my college time I did not had that many people who could tell me which option to choose, which option to not choose. So, and I was not very much I was not very well versed with civil engineering, and I thought I would not be able to cover it in a small amount of time, because I gave my first attempt right after my college, after 15 days of my college ended. So I thought civil engineering is sure not what I should choose. So I had to choose another subject. I chose geography. And one more thing that helped in choosing geography was I checked the availability of sources in the market, and they were easily available. So subjects like sociology, geography, anthropology, these have good amount of sources in the market. You can easily find a test series for them, and there is already a very good amount of work done in these fields. So I thought it will make my work a lot easier. So I chose geography.
Thank you, sir. So can you tell us your strategy for geography optional preparation?
Geography optional. Uh, Last year, I think I was one of the worst performer of geography optional. Yeah, it was abysmally low. But this time, I think I got this rank because of that only. And one thing I can tell you is I did not made much adjustment in my knowledge base. They were like whatever I know last time also I know right now also. I just made adjustment in the presenting the and in the presentation part. So what I did, few of the basic things about geography optional is first you should be very well versed through your syllabus. The syllabus is very vast, especially some of the chapters like geomorphology. It is very big. So try to cover it as much as possible. I would say like 90-95% of the syllabus. Try to cover it before you start writing tests. So you can write the test also while doing it. So try to cover as much area you are covering, then try to make notes of small notes, because geography is such a vast subject that you really cannot revise in the end days. And if you cannot revise in the end days, then your answers quality will a little bit degrade, because you are writing 9 exams in the mains. So brain takes a little bit of what do you say, daunting, that the quality does not remain that much, so you have to revise it. So revision can only be done through notes. And if you are very good in reading books very quick and retaining the amount of information, then good enough. But I would say notes will make it easier. And finally I would say is geography, the way you represent geography in your answers makes a lot of impact. Because earlier also my knowledge base was same. This time I used extensively maps, diagrams. I used to be more presentable, made innovative diagrams like on the question basis I can tell you later on. But yeah, I tried to do those small adjustments. And I attempted all the questions this time. Last year my questions I could not attempt in my optional. One question I could not attempt. And this time I was more subtle, because I revised my notes multiple times enough that I can manage any question that came. And finally I would say is geography optional paper will always be dicey. It will always be tricky. You will always feel like this I have never studied, this I have never studied, whichever question you will be looking at means. But trust me, you have all the knowledge if you have gone through the syllabus. You just have to put it in there. So answer writing before going into the final paper is very important, at least setting your mind that this is how I will be attending my questions. So that will help you a lot. Yeah, these are the basic things I think. Detail, there can be details, but for the later part,
Yeah, thank you. So Ravi, when you talk about geography optional, can you tell us the relevance of current affairs for geography optional?
Current affairs are, I think, right now the crux of this geography optional. As a matter of fact, if you see the second paper, it is almost current affair. So it is almost impossible to differentiate between GS paper and geography paper, because things like global warming, things like climate change, pollution, and all these questions come. So if you're well versed with the current affairs, which you will be in case you have covered your current affairs good in GS part, so that will really create a lot of difference. Because see, everyone studies about the static part, everyone study about the theories in the geography, but if you can relate them in the current affair, that is what create a difference. That is what give you an edge about the other answers. So current affairs is a very important thing, which you anyhow cover from the time of prelims. So you really need not to do anything out of the verse. You really just have to remember them, revise them again and again, and just get the opportunity to put them. So that really creates a lot of difference. The current affair part should be very strong for a geography student.
Very well said, Ravi. So now let us come to the general studies part. So
Yes, sir.
A lot of people suggest that when you are preparing for GS, you have to start reading the NCERT books. Did you
Yes, sir.
read the NCERT books? And if so, what is the importance and relevance of the same?
Okay, I'll be very frank over here. I have read polity NCERT book, that 11th class. Other than that, I have not read any NCERT book. Yes, I have read 11th and 12th class geography book, because that is my optional subject. That is my optional subject. So I started to doing from there, and slowly it worked out. So personally, I don't see that there is too much of requirement to do the NCERT thing, but NCERT provides a very good platform. you really start to understand about history, about polity, about economics, macroeconomic, microeconomic. And starting slow and small builds a foundation. As a civil engineer, I can say the foundation requires a lot of time. You need to build it good. So NCRT provides that. So if straight away you are jumping to the reference books, it is going to be creating a lot of turmoil in your head initially only. So it's better to actually start with the NCRT. Is it mandatory? I would say that depends upon person to person, because I did not do it. uh, but I've seen, for example, these days prelims, a lot of questions are coming directly from the NCRT part, and if you're missing that part, you're really not doing it in the paper. So NCRT becomes important in that sense also. So yeah, I think I would advise anyone, if they want slow, steady, and basic very good foundation, they should start with NCRT. Other than that, depends upon the time. If you have good amount of time, then you can revise it. You can do NCRT 1 or 2 times and then go for the reference books. If you have less amount of time, then you can try to make adjustment. But NCRT is a very, very good source to make a very good foundation, I would say.
Yeah, Ravi, thank you. So there's a student called Ganesh. So having said that about reference books, can you tell us briefly about some important reference book for general studies?
Okay, my reference books have been constant in both the years, and they are one of the most minimum books that I use. For polity, I use only Lakshmikant, both for pre and the mains. They are like almost the same. They're the same. Then for art and culture, I use Nitin Singhania. Nitin Singhania, and I read only 5 or 6 chapters from Nitin Singhania. Then, sorry, yeah. Then regarding economics was a very tough subject for me to grasp, because it was very tough for me. I never thought that an economics can be this hard for me personally. So I tried 2, 3 reference book, but I couldn't understand anything from any of the book. However, I'm not a big fan of Shankar IS. But that is the only source that is available that is a little bit uh, reliable. And then for economics, for history, I did Spectrum, modern history, and Tamil Nadu book for ancient and medieval history. So these are the six books that I used in both my prelims and mains.
Ravi, for ethics, integrity, and aptitude paper, what is the reference book?
Uh, I've actually not seen any reference book. I've not done for any for ethics. So I've not used any book, but I can say that I have covered my ethics part from different videos online available. They were available online at that time. So I made a small notes from there, and most of the ethics that I write in my answers does not come from the book. It comes from my own understanding of GS 1, 2, 3, and the understanding of the life. So I did not did any reference book. But yes, I've heard that lexicon is the one that people study, and they get a very good hold on the vocabulary, because vocabulary is very important in ethics. Specific words comes right in the form of the questions. So lexicon is one of the book that I can recommend. I've not personally read it, but
Rightly said. So Ravi, can you tell us what is the strategy for current affairs? This is a lot of students have this query. How should we read current affairs? How to read the newspaper? If I read the newspaper, should I make notes or not? And whether should I follow any monthly current affairs? How did you plan your preparation for current affairs? How important is current affairs preparation?
first of all, hands down, current affair is the single most important thing, because a lot of things come from there. I would say GS also, like so much part of it comes. It is almost hardly indistinguishable how much part comes from static, how much part comes from current. Current comes a lot. Second thing, is it important to read newspaper? I have not read newspaper. I've read newspaper in the initial days, seeing other people, but slowly, I realized that newspaper is something that I really cannot do. It was taking a lot of time, and I was not able to comprehend things quickly in the newspaper. So I put it on a hold. But I've seen some of my friends who consistently, regularly read newspaper, and their understanding of what is happening in society, what are the issues in the society, is very good, is very vast. So understanding develops a lot with the newspaper, and you can find almost all the questions of your GS, like pollution, economy, everything in the newspaper. But personally, to me, it was a lot of time taking, and it was more easier to not do it from the newspaper. So I did not do it from the newspaper. So for people like me and for people who also do the newspaper, try to cover current affairs from one source, whichever coaching institute that you rely on, uh, wherever it is from. Just try to cover at least one source multiple times, 2 3 times, so that you get the neck of the current affairs. And current affairs keep revising, keep repeating, like almost every time, every year it keeps repeating. So initially it will take a lot of time to cover the current affair part, and you will be finding that there is so many things happening every month. Where is this coming from? I read newspaper every day, but this word was not there, etc., etc. But just go through it. Just go through it. Once you go through it, you won't be able to understand anything. Second time you go through it, you'll be able to retain something. Third time, you'll be very good at it. So you'll be able to attempt your prelims question also on basis of those. So choose any coaching material, any one coaching material, and try to revise it 2 3 times. It is better to choose 4 5 materials and then not being able to revise even one time. So choose any material. Other than this, newspaper reading is a very good habit for any bureaucrat or any civil servant. And since you are aspiring to become that, you will develop a lot of knowledge about your society, about what are the things that are happening, and some of the questions straight away come in GS. So you won't be suffering over there. You will not be suffering. So if you can maintain your daily schedule of current affairs through what do you say, newspaper, keep doing it, keep making notes, but try to be vigilant about it. Try to not spend too much of time, and try to refer to some of the sources. If you have missed some of the news, try to refer some of the sources. And I would say one source you should have it, because that creates releases you a lot of load. Because I did not read any newspaper, I just relied on one current affairs source, and I just kept reading it 2 3 times. It just worked for me.
Right. I'm sure this suggestion will clear the confusion of many aspirants. And Ravi, would you make any notes from these current affairs? If so, how would you make notes out of current affairs?
Okay, so regarding making notes in the current affair in the prelims, I did not make any notes, because in the prelims you just have to keep going through those things, and it will take a lot of time. You don't have that much amount of time also. Right. So the prelims, it is very tough to do all those things. It is better and less time taking to actually go through the material in prelims perspective. Like you just have to know the word, what is it related to, how many countries are there, here and there and there, and there. Just quickly go through them. In prelims, I did not do that. In mains, though, for some of the topics like polity, economics, not economics, yeah, economics also, 5 months economics, international relations, security, culture. For these, I made notes, and from where I made notes is what I read in the prelims. In the prelims, the same source that I read, I tried to squeeze it in for the mains perspective. For example, like in mains, you do not need to know nitty gritties. You need to know the broader picture. You need to know few facts, a few data that you can find there. So I tried to compile that in one PDF, and that helped a lot. Because on the final day, I'll tell you, on the final day, like on mains, you have to give two exams on the same day, and the exam get over by 5. You come home, then you have to prepare for the another day's exam, but you don't have that much amount of time. You have just 2 3 hours. In 2 3 hours, you really cannot go through entire current affair. You cannot go through those facts from those books. So it is better to have a PDF, which says which has those small data that you want to put there. So I did that in mains, and I just did it for 5 6 months, 5 6 months of material. I just did for that, and I used it in the entire GS papers. It is not required you to have to make notes or facts from all the years. You just have to make them for some amount of time, and just ability to use them in the answer is what I think. This will be a lot easier to do.
Very well said, Ravi. So another question that the students have is like whether we should opt for digital note making or handwritten note making. What do you suggest, and what is the strategy that you adopted?
Okay, see, in my first attempt, I did not had any digital note making source. The laptop was there, but it was easier for me to just quickly make notes from my own hands. So in the first attempt, I did that. But in the second attempt, I started realizing that I cannot put the additional things in them. For example, if you are making a note for air pollution, you wrote a page, something happens 2-3 months later on and you want to add there, you cannot do it in there, you have to add another page, etc., etc. So making notes digitally makes it a lot easier to actually compile things later on, to actually keep on adding the notes. So if you have a medium through which you can make digitally notes, whether it is tablet or laptop or anything, it is very good and you should really use it effectively, because these are also the things that can distract you from your preparation. So use them effectively, very very good. They can be they can be game changer for you, because if you have a tablet or anything with you, you can just go anywhere and you will still have all your notes with you. You don't have to take the whole bag. But for those who do not have it, it is not a disadvantage. I would say it is not a disadvantage. It is just the enthusiasm that you need to have. You just need to just make adjustment, make adjustment and try to do small things. It can totally happen with the handmade notes also. But yes, digital note making makes it a lot easier and a lot more efficient to study them again and keep on adding the notes, that I would say. And I used both of them in both of in my first attempt I used my handwritten notes. In the second attempt I used my digital notes, and both of them worked equally good. This time it was easier actually. This was the note making in digital format was easier to me. Some might not find it easier, so for them handwritten is also equally good.
Right. Can you tell us how did you plan your daily schedule for UPSC preparation?
Okay, it depends upon my first attempt or in the second attempt. My first attempt, it was very hectic for me because I have to cover a lot of things. So the number of hours that I used to give every day had to be too much, because uh, getting through polity, getting through economics 2-3 times, it requires a lot of time. So in my first attempt, I scheduled all my day around this. What do you say? Around my UPSC preparation only. So I would wake up and I will try to just quickly go through some of the topics that I'm not aware. Then I would before my lunch. Then I'll come back to the lunch, go back again to the library in my college days only. Go back to the library and keep on studying extensively for 2-3 hours again before I get up, go out for some activities. Then I studied again 2-3 hours, then 2-3 hours. So my major like in my fourth year majorly it revolved around that thing only. Like how can I make most amount of time in the second year, in the second attempt right now. I did not had to go through that much extensively, because I already had versed through the subjects good enough. So this attempt, it was more how effectively I'm using my time. The number of hours decreased significantly because I was a little more comfortable with the subjects. So number of hours reduced. So right now I could spend more time on my hobbies. I could talk to more people, and then also I have enough amount of time every day to do it. So I would say in the initial phase of the examination, try to give as much as you can. Try to study 8-9 hours, 10 hours if you can do that. If you can extend till 12 hours, just go through that, and at least have a sitting of 12 hours. Have that practice of sitting at a place and studying, because this is an examination where you need to study and do a lot of things. Okay, I'm not saying studying means literally studying. You can just walk and study also, but you have to be dedicated and focused enough that your brain is constantly thinking about it so many hours of the day. That that actually helps you a lot, because slowly you will realize that studying is not a task. And once studying does not become a task to you and does not become something that you are like suffering to do, you start enjoying it. And once you start enjoying it, you start to cover the syllabus. Once you start to cover the syllabus, you start to get a hold of this examination, and you really can crack this examination.
Another question, how many hours do we need to study?
Okay, this depends upon the stage of preparation that you are in. In the initial phases, I would say 6-7 hours is good. Then when the exams are coming and when you are really taking it seriously, like 2-3 months before prelims, 2-3 months before the mains, you can totally give an 8-9 hours every day. Because see, when you're studying 10 hours every day, does not mean you're studying effectively 10 hours every day. So you are studying like 5 hours, 6 hours effectively. Sometimes you are just listening to some music, watching some movies, or not having an effective effective hour of study. So if you are studying for 10 hours, that is a good amount of span, I think, in the initial phase. in the phase where you are preparing for the examination. But if the examinations are not that close, you can have a relaxation of time, 6-7 hours you can study. But yes, as the exam approaches, the heartbeats also approaches to higher level, and you start to give the higher number of hours. So at that time you will forget, you should forget like how many hours you are doing. Do as much as you can, because like 1 or 2 week before the prelims, 1 or 2 week before the mains, do as much as you can. Do not count on how many numbers that of hours you have to do. Yes, initially you can have a count. Yes, today I studied 6 hours. Like having a 6 hour daily study or 7 hour daily study is good, and maintain consistency. It is way better to study six hours every day than studying 12 hours one day and not studying or 0 hours in the other day. So have a consistency. If even if it is 6 hours, go for 6 hours. Even if it is 4 hours, go for 4 hours. And when one more added advantage is there, if you are studying for 4 or 5 hours only, that is you will be focused enough. You will be very focused because you know you don't have that much amount of time. So your brain will be a lot focused. You will be studying with a lot more diligence over there. So yeah, it depends upon the amount of the stage of preparation you are, I would say. And one personal advice: do not think about how many years you have to do. However you feel, whichever, like the way you want to, the more you want to immerse in this examination, you'll stop feeling I'm studying this many hours. I'm studying this many hours. You'll enjoy this preparation slowly.
True that. How would you maintain consistency in your preparation?
This is one of the hardest challenges of this examination, to actually maintain consistency with so much happening, especially in this stage of life when we are just clearing the college and everyone around us is going, having parties and going here and there. It is tough to maintain that consistency. But here, what creates the difference is your motivation to why you actually started it, and having some scientific timetable, not scientific, I would say some rational timetable, that this is what I have to do, this is what I have to complete by this week, this is what I have to complete by this week. Consistency slowly seeps in with that way. So yes, initially it will take a lot of effort for you to make it consistency. Initially you will not also be very good in the examination. You will not be very good, you will not be understanding things very good. So slowly it will happen. But consistency will come when you have a very good timetable that you have set for covering the syllabus, and you are constantly remembering about why you actually started this examination for. That will actually, because psychologically that will push you a lot. These two things I think will maintain a good amount of consistency for you.
Yeah, there's a student called Priya who would like from Delhi who would like to congratulate Ravi sir. You are truly an inspiration for us, and
Okay.
thank you very much, sir. And
Shukriya.
another question, sir. Like having said about consistency, there are a lot of highs and lows during the preparation. So how
It
to
is.
handle stress and how to stay motivated during the preparation? How would handle stress?
See, stress is a part of life. It's just not just this exam. Yes, but when this exam comes, it becomes, it gets amplified a lot. So I would say try to be a little more. Wait. Okay. Yes. So what I would say is try to maintain a schedule. See, with having a schedule, there's a saying in US Marine. Uh, there's a practice in US Marine. It's also famous in YouTube. Also, you can see the video. That they start to make their bed. They start their day by making their bed, and it does not matter however bad their their day goes. They get beating, they get drilled in their training and all those. They come back to their own bed that they have made and hope for a better day tomorrow. So small things will keep you there, even if the day is hard, even if the tough going is tough. Uh, so small things will be there to motivate you. There will be small friends. There might be a small friend circle that you can totally convey your emotions to. Hobby that you can start playing guitar or doing anything. You can just start. You can just explore your hobbies in those low times. Having all those things, try to start every single day forgetting what you actually did yesterday and try to excel what you did before the yesterday. So whatever you do today, try to excel it before, like try to do it better than what you did day before yesterday or yesterday, I would say. That, and whatever you did yesterday, just forget, however bad day it was. Whenever you start your day, start with a positive mindset, start with with the dedication that today I'm going to do this, and have a timetable in your head that I have to complete this. Even if my life is not good, I have to complete this, then my life will be good. And trust me, once you clear the examination, all those things will not be much of will not be having much substance. Yes, of course there will be other issues that will be coming up after that, but those whatever the problem that you are dealing with, however bad day it is, it won't be a problem once you clear the examinations. Just have that thing in the head, everything will be set after that.
True that. So Ravi, answer writing is where a lot of students face difficulty. So could you tell us some basic tips of answer writing, and what is your strategy for answer writing? When did you start answer writing? Coming from a civil engineering or an
Yeah.
IIT background, when was exactly that you focused on answer writing?
Answer writing was I think answer writing is the single most important thing in this entire examination. Even like if not the answer writing, at least thinking that you are writing the answer and actually writing it the answer, these are the two like very very important thing in this entire examination. I started answer writing after I cleared prelims last year, because I was in my college and I did not had that much exposure, like answers, like how important it is to write the answers and all those. I did not have those many I do not have people to actually guide me through that. So prelims, after prelims, when I cleared the prelims, I had 2 or 2.5 months to do. I extensively focused on answer writing because I know in 2 months or something I cannot be very good in knowledge, in terms of knowledge, in mains examination. But what I can be very good in is expressing whatever I know. So even if I knew two things, I used to write them the way that, oh, this is like at least I know these things. So answer writing helped a lot in that, but it takes a lot of resistance in the beginning. One thing that helped me personally was when I cleared my prelims, I had no excuse because there was just 2 or 2.5 months remaining. I had to do it. But if you don't have a pushing factor with you, you will be starting answer writing 2 3 days. You will be leaving after 2 3 days. You'll be leaving it because it takes a lot of resistance. You think that you do not know enough. Uh, some of the topics like history and all those, you don't know what can I write. I cannot do anything. So try to have some basic understanding of all the subjects. And when you feel like you have like decent amount of understanding, it need not be very good, but if you have the decent amount of understanding, like how economy works, how is geography working, etc., try to inculcate answer writing. Then it will make your task a lot easier. If you have certain amount of answer writing practice before your prelims, before you attempt the prelims, it will significantly reduce your load after the prelims. And why you should do it before the prelims is because this is the same thing that actually creates a lot of difference. The same answer that I will be writing, the same answer you will be writing, you might be knowing the same thing, but the way I will be writing, the way you will be writing will be a lot different. We can really create a difference in the way that we'll be writing. So try to write small one or two questions every day. When you start to feel like this is the subject that I'm good at, or this is the subject that I've studied, try to go to the previous year questions and find out what are the questions that have come, and you will be finding that they are very generalistic in nature. For example, why is climate change happening? And I'm pretty much sure all of you knows about it. So you can just write some of the things, and you can check the model answers from the coaching institutes if you are joining that, or how the toppers have written. Toppers copy actually helped me a lot, and I would say my copy was an amalgamation of the toppers that were there. I extensively use their way of expressing, their way of writing, making, underlining, and all those things. I studied about their answer copy, and the task became very easy after that, I would say. So yeah, once you have a decent amount of understanding, you should start focusing about answer writing, and give at least half hour, 45 minutes every day, if you can.
Right. So another question is how to remember facts, how to memorize facts, Ravi.
Yes, remembering fact, I think is very very tough. It's very tough. So like I said, in mains this time, what I did was, like in mains this time what I did was made the notes of the facts that I will be using in the examination, and I did not made note of all the facts that are available with me or in any coaching material or current affair booklet or anything. I make the note of the things that I will be using, and they were very less. And trust me, whichever question comes, like you can really use any of it. For example, if you have a data regarding uh, women empowerment or women literacy in India, you can use it in so many questions. You need not to know the fact for each of the questions. You can just use this fact in so many questions. So try to be choosy about it. Try to be I would say a little bit smart about it, that you are just gathering the information that you will be using, because information is too much. The what you will be using is less only. Regarding prelims, I would say, regarding prelims, all these facts and data that are there in whichever current affair material that you are using, you have to go through it again and again and again. So at least 2-3 times of revision before the paper is actually very important. Then you will be able to recall it right there. And in prelims, the very important, very good thing that is in our favor is elimination. So you need not to know everything, but at least you need to know some of the facts. For example, whether India is in this group or not, whether India is in OPEC, whether India is in OECD or not. Small facts you have to remember. Small facts, and that will come by revising it 2-3 times again and again, whatever current source that you are using, or whichever static part also, whichever you are using. 2-3 revision before the prelims will set you off good. And in the mains, if you are compiling everything short and smart enough to use it in the exam, in the answers, that will actually lead you through this, I think.
Yeah. Rajiv would like to congratulate you on your success. Rajiv from Delhi. So his query is, sir, I'm from rural background and I'm from non-English medium background. Can I crack UPSC examination?
Oh, brother, you really can crack, and I think you should crack. The thing is, see, all those people who are from rural background and also from the urban background people, we get exposure to a lot of things. You have the first hand exposure of all the issues of rural background, of agriculture, also small schemes, issues regarding poverty and hunger. So you have direct experience of all those things. So you are like one of the cream candidate that the UPSC can have. So never get this thing into your head that whether you can do it or whether you cannot do it, when can you do it, when you cannot do it. The day you start thinking that this is what you have to do, trust me, thing changes. So whenever you start the preparation, never ever let this thing in your head that whether you are from Hindi background or any other literature background, whether you are from rural or urban, whether you are from IIT or not, whether you are from here or not, just have this mindset that you are there for this examination and you will be cracking it, because confidence is what you need in this examination. You will be cracking it. Just follow the right strategy and have patience. You will be really cracking it. Never let this thing come in your head, because there are so many friends of mine who have reached till interview, who have cleared this examination from rural background only. So you are actually way good in that sense, I would say.
Rightly said. So what is the revision plan and strategy that you adopted, and what is the importance of revision for UPSC preparation?
See, revision in both the stages, in prelims and in mains, if you're not revising things, really it becomes a lot difficult to get the things when you need it. So for prelims, as I said, I completed the static portion 4-5 times. I covered the static portion 4-5 times before I actually appear in the prelims. So then I was able to eliminate answers more confidently. In mains, I would say to not change your subjects that much was helpful a lot. Because usually what happens is people think that there are different source to study for prelims and mains. Then you end up creating another source for the mains. Then you have to start revising it. So if you are already revising a source of 4-5 times before your prelims, then why not just continue with it, because you're very good with it. And there is no perfect source available in the market. Just whatever source you have, trust me, it is one of the best source. Few supplementary source can be used, but trust me, that is very good. So stick to the source, whichever you are using. So keep your source minimum. One is that is how you will be having less to revise. Second is you should have a dedicated plan of revision. For example, right now, for example, on 10th of October, this is coming, prelims is coming. So anyone can start saying that yes, by the end of 25th of September, I'll be having one revision. Then in the second division, I'll be completing by 5th of October. Then important parts I will be covering in the last 4 5 days that are available with me. So if you have a plan that till then, till this time I will be revising it, till this time I will be revising second time, till this time, it makes task a lot easier. And trust me, the subsequent revision is always taking a less time, and just engraving those things in your head permanently. So in the first attempt, like for the first time when we read polity, it might take a month. Second time, it might take 15 days. But when you're reading it in 2, 3, or 4 times, then on the fifth time, I would say it'll take just 3, 4 days to you to cover for anything, for prelims or mains. So having those dedicated amount of time that by this I have to end my first division, by this I have to end this second division. Just that is how you can really do it if you have a timetable in your head. And yes, never skip revision. Do not go for the newer book at this time or at the final time. Revise whatever you have a good number of times so that you can eliminate your answers through them, or you can write your answers through them.
Rightly said. So integrated preparation for prelims, mains, and
Yes.
interview, I think that is more important as suggested by Ravi. So, and another question that we have is, sir, should we read India Yearbook and Economic Survey of India?
Okay, I never read it, but I have seen for the economic, the name was there, economic data, economic census. No, there is economic survey, economic survey. That comes. Okay, I'm sorry for not remembering that. That actually clears the fact that I've never read it. So I know there are some of the questions sometimes in prelims that have come from economic survey, from budget also it comes. So what you can do is try to quickly refer to some of the summaries from the current affairs from the coaching institutes, or go through the available material that is there in the YouTube. Every year when economic survey comes, every year when budget comes, or any other reference book comes, you can easily find their sources available, their videos available on YouTube. And when anyone has made a video on YouTube, they have reduced your task significantly, because when you will be holding that economic survey book, it is very thick, and the chances of things coming from it in the prelims is very less. So try to cover them through like others hard work, because they have already worked hard. The coaching material have already worked hard to make a summary of it. Try to do it from there. Second thing I would say, for the mains, they are very helpful if you can make notes, your personal notes, small notes uh, of budget, economic survey. And those notes also I'm saying from the summary already available on the material, the video available on the YouTube. From there only, if you can make 1 or 2 page notes of budget, you can extensively use it in the paper. Like I would say, budget you can totally do write in one paper all the facts that are there in budget, and economic survey also 1 or 2 pages also only. You can write the facts, and you can use the references in your main answers, like from economic survey dash. This is the thing that is there in economic survey. This enhances your answer. So you need not to read those things firsthand, like those big bulky books. Just need to cover them through reliable sources available on the material on the YouTube or your coaching institute, I would say. And they will help a lot. They will help a lot, because sometimes straight away questions come from prelims. In prelims, from a budget, how much was given, etc., things like that. And in mains, you can use them extensively. I use them a lot. The same fact from the budget I used in 2 3 answers, 2 3 different GS papers. I didn't use the same fact in the same answer, but yeah, in different paper I have used it.
Thank you. Arpit from Bangalore would like to congratulate Ravi sir. We are very happy that you made it
shukriya.
twice to the UPSC. And his question is, sir, you've attempted UPSC and twice you were successful, and you have given 2 interviews. What was your strategy for interview preparation?
Oh, interview is one of the most beautiful thing that you can actually go through as a stage in this examination, because that is the stage where you are actually sincerely answering why do you want to become an IAS officer, why did you choose geography, what are the hobbies that you do, why are the things that you do, what are the things that you pursue. So that is a introspective time for you. You start to know about your state, your home, etc. So that is a very fruitful journey. First, I would say that it was a very fruitful journey to do to go through the interview. In the interview itself, it is very, I would say, very high level of interaction, because those people sitting, they are there for years and years and years, and they've been taking this. So it is very, very very prestigious moment for you also, but at the same time we have to understand that this is an examination point. This is something that they are giving number on the basis of that. So the way you present yourself, they will be giving number. You're not there for like any cordial talks. So you need to be formal over there. So small integrities you have to keep focused over there. Other than that, I would say just let yourself flow. Whatever you know, whatever the way that you think the things are, whatever they ask, just be humble and tell them the way you feel, because no answer is perfect in their reference. For example, if they ask what are the three most crucial problem for this country, for you the three problems can be something else, for me it can be something else. But if you stay true to you and do not try to be phony and do not try to like act smart in front of them and try to be humble, it will be a very enjoyable ride. At the same time, I would say it is one of the most stressful situations, because depends upon board, different depends upon the time of the day when you are going. They will be having different mindset. They might want to drill you over some of the facts, they might not want to drill you. So it will be a lot stressful, because if you are not giving answers, and if you feel like your answers are not confident enough, your answers are not I would say they're not coming very good of quality as much as you were expecting, stress starts to build up. So what that stress, you are actually preparing for entire year. You're going for prelims, you're going for mains, you go through a lot of stresses. They actually are helping you to your final stage of interview. So just take all these steps very carefully, like all these steps very what do you say, give them good amount of importance, the stress that you're facing right now, because they will ultimately help you in one of the best moment of your life, that is your interview. So I would say stay humble, keep analyzing what you do, why you do. And yes, one thing I would say is start developing any hobby, or whatever hobby you have, start pursuing it. Give some amount of time, maybe in the weekend or something, that will help you a lot in the interview.
Right. So Jagdish from Chennai, sir, I'm poor in my communication skills. Do you think I can succeed in the UPSC interview?
See, first is communication is one of the most basic thing that you should have some amount of command over in civil services. So they would be expecting that you have decent amount of communication skills, where you are at least able to convey the message that you're trying to convey. For example, if they ask, why do you want to become an IAS officer? And just because you're not very confident in your communication, if you're not able to give the proper answer, you're not able to convey your proper reasons why you want to become an IAS officer, then it becomes a challenging thing. But trust me, communication is something that you can really work upon. And this is not something that you cannot get rid of. For example, you cannot get rid of height, you cannot get rid of some of the things. I cannot get rid of my chashma. So yeah, communication skill is something that you can really get rid of. You can really build upon it. I've known so many people who were so not good in English, but slowly when the D-day comes, when the final interview day comes, they become really good, and they were actually able to express their views way more what do you say, concise and better than I was conveying. So communication is something that you can totally work upon, and this is something that you should also work upon, because if you're communicating, then things become easier in your life. Having said all these things, currently if you feel that your communication skill is not up to the mark, it is not an impediment. It is not an impediment. You can totally work upon it. And never think about it like you will not be able, you will be nervous in there, you won't be able to speak in English, or they won't be understanding. You will totally work upon it. Just try to make adjustments from today only. Try to talk to people, try to talk in English, or whatever you want to way, whatever way, Hindi, English, Telugu, whichever language that you are comfortable in. Try to develop those communication skills from today only. It won't take much time. You just have to be more presentable to the other people. That's it. Communication is not something that you can be should be suffering from.
Yeah. So from Manoj from Kerala, he wants to congratulate you, and his question, thank you. And his question is, sir, can you share us about your UPSC 2020 interview experience, like regarding some questions that they asked in the board, and some experience? How did you feel like?
Okay, 2020 interview was unexpected to me. I was good prepared this time, at least for the interview I was prepared, and I was hoping that I will really do it very good inside. But it did not went well. It did not went good. And when I went inside, everything, whatever I thought, whatever I planned, didn't go according to the plan. So they started making me comfortable. They asked, "Hi Ravi, you are so young, you have girlfriend and all those," and I was like, then slowly, they started to ask about the marriage and the provisions of the marriage. Then I did not knew about them, so I humbly said, "Sir, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of them." But then also they did not move from that topic. They asked about divorce, different types of divorce, annulment, cancellation of marriage, and I was just not aware of it. So they were really not letting the subject go, and I was feeling like this is not something that I actually prepared for, because they're not moving from the subject. If there is something that you don't know, then usually the tactic is they move to the subject that you know, so that they can analyze how good you are answering the area that you know. So it was not going my way initially. Three members happened, and the same thing happened, like same story happened. I was feeling like maybe one more year I need. But finally, when the last person came, the last person start to answer. There are five people. One is chairman and four different members. So when the fourth member, that is actually the fifth candidate, was asking me the question, I was able to answer his questions, and able to answer his questions with a big smile on my face, because I knew like this is the moment which might be changing the entire course of interview. So he was asking me questions. He was asking very tough questions, by the way. Like, he asked me, since I'm in Indian Railway Account Service and I'm also a civil engineer. So he asked me what are the projects that are going in the Indian Railways. And I said, "Sir, ye chal raha hai, sir, this is also going on, this is also going on." He was saying, "No, no, no, no. One more is going on. Just can you recall that?" I named like 14, 15, 16 projects that I also don't know they exist. At that time, yeah. They really came, they were coming, "Yes, sir, there is one for the bridge making, there is one for the bullet, there is one for the Vande Bharat." So I was able to get those many facts at that time. If I would be nervous, I might not be able to recall that those many projects, and might not, and I think the result might have been something else. So I maintained my composure. I maintained my decency. I was smiling all the way, even if the interview was going wrong and was not going the way I expected. There was a big smile on my face, and I was very humble to them. And I said, "So thank you very much, sir." And I think I managed in the end decently, but it did not go according to what I wanted. I thought I could do like very good, but it did not. I could not get the opportunity to do it very good. But at least I was not stressful, I would say. And since I was not stressful, by the end I was able. I think I was able to create some impact that this guy can take stress. So that might have changed the decisions.
Very nice. So one of the last few questions, like what was the difference or the reorientation in your interview preparation for the first and second attempt? Any reorientation that you did?
Okay, in the first attempt I was not structured. In the first attempt I went to Delhi. I was in Delhi, and since I had like 1.5 months after the result came, I had like 1.5 months before my interview was coming. So in the 1.5 month, I first started to gather the information of my area, of my hobby, my this and that. Then I started to realize that there is just so much to do. I cannot compile everything alone, at least, because at that time I was like, I did not knew much people who were preparing for interview. There was one person who actually got 181 last year. With him only I was talking. But yeah, so initially I started to do to gather some of the informations regarding my own DEF. DEF is detailed application form that you filled after you clear prelims and after you clear mains. So that is DEF is available with the members of the interview. So I was trying to gather information in that. But soon I started to realize that I need exposure. I need to go out and I need to actually express all these things. And mock interview was the best option available to me. So I just started to give mock interview, and I think I gave like so many interviews. I gave like 14, 15, 16 interviews in the first attempt only, and without any proper strategy, like not thinking like whether this coaching institute I should go there or will it be helpful or not. I was just trying to get as many questions on my DEF, as many questions in my for my interview from the mock interview only. So I just went, and I just experienced a lot of ups and downs in those phases also. But yes, I would say that helped a lot to actually get those many mock interviews, because in the final day, first interview again, I was not very it was not very good interview, but somehow I managed because I already went through a lot of mock interviews, and I was into I've already went through those stressful situations. In the second attempt, I tried to be a little more choosy about which of the coaching institutes that I should be giving interview. AKS was one of them. It was one of the first institute that actually I I gave an interview at. So yes, this time I was more choosy, and I was more real analyzing whether this going or like uh, beforehand. I was before going to the mock interview, I was having a mindset that this time I have to apply this in my interview. For example, this time I have to smile. This time, whenever I go to if I go inside the mock interview, I have to say thank you very much, sir, more humbly, slow. So this time I was having those adjustments in my head before going the mock interview. In the mock interview, I tried to implement. So this time it was more scientific, I would say, more rational. I would say not scientific, but more rational. I would say I was choosy about what are the things that I want to apply, and I applied in the mock interview. So in that actually reduced a lot of work.
Thank you, Ravi. Team AKSIS thanks you from the bottom of their hearts.
Yeah.
So one of the last questions, like a lot of students are asking this question. I know it has been quite a long time for you. So it is Sudhir, Purnami, Pramoda, Govind, Srinivas, okay, and Sai Govind, Manoj Kumar. So this common question is, sir, how to start essay writing? What is the strategy for essay writing? Is good handwriting necessary for essay writing? And I am coming from rural or say non-English medium background. Should I give? How should I practice essay writing?
Okay. First thing, I will be very clear regarding not coming from non-English background. Essay writing, you need to know basic English, and you need to convey your answers in that manner. There are some of the essays which look like they have been written by Shakespeare's only. If we actually go through some of the toppers essays, but there are also the essays which look like they have been written by so like very they have been written by, they can be understandable even to the 10th class 10th standard person also. So you need to have basic understanding of the English. I myself write in a very easy language. Even if I know any fancy word, I try to not use it if it is not actually giving any weightage to my paragraph. So I also use my basic English knowledge only. uh, you just need to have to know basic knowledge about English, about grammars. Try to not be grammatically uh, mistaken at any place, because that creates a little bit of problem. But that can easily be covered by one, two, three, four essays when you will be writing. You will be started to realize that yes, it's not a big of a deal. It's just the way you express your it. It can be as small as I saw it, or it can be as big as I encountered it or something, right? So it is going to be very easy. Second thing is when to write essays and whether writing essay will make impact or not. I can compare my two attempts, and I would say this time I wrote 5, 6 essays before going to the examinations. Last year I wrote 1 or 2 essay only. So in the final examination last year, I was not at all confident. I was, because see, you read so many things in GS. You already have so many fact data regarding any question that come, any topic that come in essay. So initially, what you try to do is you just dump all your information. You're trying to dump things, but that creates very unstructured essay, and it creates a bad image in the eye of the examiner. So you need to channelize your thoughts. You need to be very lucid, and need not to create ruckus in the essays. So for that, you require to write essays. This time I did that. I did that. I did 4, 5 essays I wrote. But yeah, you can like on daily basis, not a daily basis, on I think weekly basis or on every 15th day. If you write essay, then by the end you will be writing the mains essay. You would already has had been written like 10, 12 essays. That is good enough for essay, I would say. And regarding source, you need not any source. I read no source for essay. You already know a lot of them from GS 1, 2, 3. You just need to understand how to channelize your answers, how to write your answers properly, not channelize your paragraph, how not to create too many information that are irrelevant in an essay. So just trying to know how to write the answers. Again, I'm saying it is important to know how to write. what you write, what you want to write, or what you should write, you already know. When the mains examination comes, the same goes for GS 1, 2, 3, and 4 also. Whatever the question comes, you know, but the how you will be writing, that is all that matters, and that comes by the practice only, by looking the toppers answers. If you can access the toppers answers, and by writing model answers, by mock tests and all those, you'll be going through go through that.
So if you had to go back to your preparation, initial stage of preparation, and if you had to, mend something, what could that be? Some aspects.
Okay. First is I would one thing I would mend is I would look for some guidance uh, from those who already have uh, done good amount of thing in this field, not from those who are just starting or not. I did not ask so many people, but yes, YouTube was available, and people were posting things over there. But small nitty-gritties of the subjects, for example, if I'm taking geography as an optional, small nitty-gritties of those optional subjects, like where to cover this topic from and all those, if I would have had a guidance from someone who could tell me, it would have significantly reduced my number of hours that I put in, and would have increased the effectiveness that I got at the end. Because I remember uh, sometimes I would study some things for 6 7 days, for like a good amount of hours. I was giving like 8 8 9 9 hours, 6 6 7 days, and I would be finding like there was no need to do it. If anyone would be there to tell me, so they would have been there. One thing I would say is there was a lack on my part only. I actually never reached out to anyone to tell me, because I thought I can totally manage it. There's no need for me. So if you have a genuine guidance, genuine, what do you say, guidance from anyone, please make use of it, and be humble to them, because they might not be they might not be giving you that much of advice if you're not humble to them. So and yes, use their formula. There's nothing wrong in using their formula, the way they prepared from it. I say myself, I my answer writing is actually an amalgamation of, I can name them also, the people that I actually saw their copies, and I you can totally see the copy, the answers that they have written in 2018 and 19, I used in 2021 and 20, in 2020 attempt. I think this is 2020 attempt. Yeah. So if there is a guidance that you can find, please go out, and if there is any stress that you're going through, just reach out to the people, tell the emotions to the people that are close to you. Do not keep building it, because this examination is not something that you can go along with another burden that you have. So be expressive to the people. It does not, it's okay, whatever people judge, it's okay. Have a small group with you who can tell you, who can be there with you on the days of happiness, on the days of not so happiness. That would actually sail you through it, and that is something that I would say, because I remember if there was any problem that I was encountering in any subject, I was not reaching out to anyone. I was trying to find out the solution, and that created a lot of time, and I could not reach anywhere. So that is.
Yeah, so Ravi suggests that having the right guidance and mentorship, genuine
It's very
guidance and
important, very
mentorship, is
important.
especially helpful to streamline your preparation and ease your preparation.
It
So the
is.
last question is, Ravi, can you tell us about the role of your family and friends in your UPSC preparation?
Oh, family and friends. Yeah, actually, I have to give them the credit. See, uh, family is something that will always be there with you, even on the hardest of the hard day. Uh, they will be there to share your happiness and sorrow. So please be humble to all of them. It does not matter whether they were able to provide you good education or not. They might have their own limitations, but whatever they did, accept it. It was one of the best things that they do. We are we are in next generation, so we will always have some problems. Why we didn't got that? Why other people got that, etc. So other than that, please be very humble to your family. Keep telling them whatever you are doing, because they are also in this preparation. This is also something that will bring a lot of prestige to them. So they will always be wanting to know what you are doing or what are you doing. So you might feel it redundant. You might feel it is a lot irritating to have father on the call constantly asking, what have you done by now. Just be humble to them. Keep telling them this is something that they have been dreaming for since you were actually born. So be humble to them, keep loving them. And mother is the most expressing person that you can actually express things to. Keep expressing your mom, whatever emotion that you're going through. Friends, I would say, are someone actually that should be there with you in this preparation, because those are the people who know about the nitty-gritties. Because uh, on a lighter side, suppose something happens in your relationship status, you really cannot go to your mom and say, "Mom, this is something that's happening over there." So friends is something that really you should have in your head. You should be having very good friends, I would say, not the phony friends who just want to be there with you because they think that you may become IS someday, so they are being friend. No, the people who really liked you when you actually never started this preparation, who like you for the personality you are, just be with them. Try to be as expressive to them as much, because it will reduce a lot of load. And yes, friends can also be helpful in distributing the work, because I know I was with two three people that I studied with. They actually made me mains ready in my first attempt, and anything and everything that I did was their doing only. They used to discuss in front of me, so I was able to write the answers. So if you have very good if you have a good friend circle, please always be humble to them. Please always attend to them, love them with as much as you can, and be graceful for whatever you have. Family, friends, and whichever situation people you have, be graceful to that. That will really create a lot of impact, because once you reach to this level, once you actually clear the services, the graces will be with you, the memories will be with you. So try to make those memories happy and not vicious. I would say.
You very much for your patience and sharing these insights with the students, and your precise strategy, your humbleness. We would also like to share with the students that there would be very few people who are grounded even though they succeed. And thank you very much, Ravi. We would also like to share with the students that there are very few people who are grounded in spite of getting success, and Ravi is one amongst them. We have interacted with him before the interview and also after the interview preparation, and now after he got into the services below, getting below 100 rank is a distant dream for many aspirants across the country. And it is the same person. It's the same way he responds. It's the same person. It's the same way he communicates. And you have seen since the past 1.5 hours, he has patiently addressed each and every minute questions that people like the students were asking. And from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of the team of AKS IAS Academy, we would like to thank you immensely, and we would like to meet you in person
Thank you.
sometimes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ravi. Very much.
I'll be trying to do that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
How to end it?
This video is brought to you by AKSIAS.